So we're here at the Alford Craft Market with Sam and Matt, who could be called Alford's Willy Wonkers. So they create fudge, and we've actually got some with them. So if they could explain what the flavours are, what fudge have you brought along today?
Okay, we do a range of around 11 flavours. We have, I'll see if I do the top of my head, Bailey's, butterscotch. We'd sometimes do black treacle near November time. We have coffee, chocolate orange. We do ginger, rum and raisin, vanilla, salted. I'm sure I've missed something out. Butterscotch. Oh, we've got an apple and cinnamon there as well. That came out just sort of in October time, ready for winter. So we sometimes reflect the seasons. So in the summer we might do like a lemon fudge, and then in the winter we do things like black treacle. So it's reminiscent of sort of bonfire night. In the past we've done white chocolate and cranberry in the running up to Christmas. So things like that to kind of tap into people's sort of seasonal taste buds, if you like. All of our fudge is gluten-free as well, which fudge should be. It's not designed to have any wheat products in it, generally. But some people add things like shortbread and Oreos and stuff, which I'm sure are lovely. But we try to make sure ours is gluten-free so that people come to us, and if they are celiac and can't have gluten, that they know that they can trust the product, if you like. Plus, all of ours is already sealed. We did that anyway before COVID, but it's gone in our favour because obviously with COVID you don't really want people sneezing and breathing over the things that you're going to eat. So having them sealed also helps and keeps the flavour intact as well. So.
And what's the kind of process for making the fudge? So
Matt actually is the baker. He's the master baker. I just am the voice and the marketing, if you like. So in terms of how it's made, when you go to somewhere like Lincoln, you would come across Rowley's Fudge, which is on the hill. They have this big kind of copper kettle that they use. They pour the fudge out after it's cooked and they mix it laboriously in front of you. We take a shortcut. Ours is made with butter, milk, cream and sugar, rather than condensed milk, which is a sugared version of milk. And we put it in a pot, we melt it, let it come to boil, and then it sits there for a while. Matt can do this by eye. I would need to have instruction sheets and thermometers to guide me through this, but it changes and thickens up and changes colour, and then at that point you turn the heat off and you need to let it rest. Fudge is made in the cooling rather than just sort of heating it to a certain temperature and melting it together. It is a proper chemical process, really. And when it's cooled sufficiently, then we use an old boring hand mixer, kitchen hand mixer. And as you're mixing it, around 5 minutes of mixing, you can really see it come together, starts to thicken up and starts to change texture. And at that point, we pour it out onto baking paper, onto a big tray. And our little secret is a pizza cutter. We roll the pizza cutter through it, which cuts it into little chunks. And then it needs to cool. All of that obviously takes a period of time. What Matt is particularly good at is that multitasking thing of having 3 pots boiling while one is cooling, while one is to be cut, and has this really brilliant kind of process, whereas I'm like one thing at a time. I can't handle all that. So he can get a lot of fudge cooked in a period of so many hours, whereas it would literally take me a whole day. And then we've got a whole sort of tray holder thing. I can't remember what it's called. That's the word, rack. We've got a whole racking system, so it goes into the racks and then it cools overnight usually, because obviously you can imagine hot sugar is very, very dangerous, very hot. And it needs to take time to cool completely fully before you try and package it. So it's quite a sort of quite a laborious process. Obviously in between that you don't mix flavours, so You have to wash your pots and wash everything that you've used in between everything. So it's quite a long kind of process. It's a lot of standing. It's a lot of getting hot and bothered, and it's a long process to make it. And then after that, obviously, then it's weighed and packaged. We pre-package it, as I said, for the reasons before. It's sort of, you don't want people breathing all over the food that you're going to buy. Plus, we are stating it's also nut-free, it's soya-free and gluten-free. So people who have quite profound allergies, if it's pre-packaged, there's an awful lot more confidence in the product, and they are more likely to purchase it because they feel it's they look at that and go, well, it hasn't touched anything else. Because some people are so profoundly allergic to things like nuts and shellfish or whatever, that even if you have like bits of flour on your fingers or whatever, and you touch the packaging, that can transfer and make somebody quite sick. So I don't think people realise what a big deal it is to be really careful. So we've obviously had to do courses, and we have to know all the allergens out there. We have to, with the packaging, you have to state in red anything that is a food allergen, as well as all of the ingredients. But what we pride ourselves on is the fact that there's so little ingredient in it that you actually just are getting something that has 4 things in it. So with this one, this is butterscotch fudge. This is our plainest fudge that we do, and it says sugar, milk, cream and butter, and that's it. There's nothing else in it. So as a result, you can have confidence in what you're eating, and you're not looking for all of the million other little ingredients that it takes to preserve something. But as I said to you before, that means that there's also a shelf life on it. So on the back here, this one is dated to the 12th of March. So that's the expected length of time that it would be all right. Now, it's a best before, it's not a use by. There's no danger with having something that's slightly out of date like yogurt or milk. You just use this sniff test ordinarily if you're in the fridge. But because it's not a meat product, it's not a fish product that could make you very, very sick. So we just, with a lot of people, we say to them, keep it cold. The colder you keep it, the longer it keeps. So you can freeze it for a year, 2. We've had people in the past that literally come to us and they've gone, well, I found a baggie of fudge at the bottom of the freezer 2 years ago. Well, it still tastes nice. So, once it's frozen, it's all right. It's a really stable product when it's really cold. That's why we do it the way we do it. It also saves us time. A lot of the way in which we sell the fudge is we don't have people coming to the house as such. We go out and sell it at craft events. So Craft Market was the first one, but we do Revesby, Country Fair. We've done Woodall Country Fair. We used to do the Lincoln Christmas Market as well. So we've been here, there and everywhere with it. If you take a product out that you then have to handle, you have to have hand washing facilities, which in itself is a pain in the bottom. So if we don't have to touch the product in any way, we don't have to have that facility. So it keeps our system lighter, if you like, and our processes much, much quicker. In terms of where we've taken it from when we started, we used to do things just on a stall. But now, in lockdown, Matt, because he's a bit handy, does a bit of everything, quite handy to have, we got a trailer and made our own fudge stall on a trailer. So it's a little pop-up fudge stall. And it's fantastic because it doesn't matter what the wind is doing or anything else. It will always stay where it is. It's not going to blow away because we have spent numerous years holding on to gazebos, especially in Lincolnshire, because there is just this wind that pops up everywhere. It only has to be 20 miles an hour and it's like a kite. So it's very it's a pain to have a gazebo and then to have all the strapping, and it takes forever to set up gazebos, strap them down, weight them down, pin them down. So pop-up stall, we're very smug now. We roll up to an event, we're like, pop it open, put the fudge out, boom, we're ready to go. And then we just pop it on the back of the car and off we go home. So we've made our business, if you like, much more streamlined as a result. I know you didn't ask that, but that's getting it all. There you go.
What's the story behind the business? So how did it start up in the first place?
Well, so I have to go a bit backwards, bear with me. So I will try and condense this down. When we met, Matt was a art restorer, picture framer, as you do. And when we moved into a house together, and I said we need to do artwork for the walls. So we had 2 little canvases stood side by side. I still remember the memory now. And I'm like overthinking it, and I've like drawn bits, and I've done a square here and I've done a line here, and I'm trying to be avant-garde and modern, and it looks shocking. Looks like a 2-year-old's done it, and that's not even being polite to a 2-year-old. I've looked across at his, and it looks like the Sistine Chapel. He's done this incredible kind of sky with clouds and paint, you know, and I'm like, I've just stood beside you, how have you done that? He said, oh, I just did this. And I was like, well, if I just did that, that wouldn't happen. So anyway, so I said, you need to sell, like you should paint and do stuff. So he started painting these canvases, these really tumultuous skies, which were absolutely beautiful. And then we went and did, this is when we lived down in Essex way, and we went to Hertfordshire and did this big art, what's it called?
Exhibition.
Thank you, this is why he's here. Art exhibition, and Matt had all these beautiful skies on all of the walls, and he sold a few of them. And then one day it was really boring, and I remember looking over at him, and he stood talking to a woman who does glass, and he's chatting away for the whole day, like I don't think this woman like had a breath with him, like this, and I could just see him like chipping away at this woman. And he came home that night and he was like, I'm going to be a glass artist. And I was like, right, don't you need to do a course or something like that? And he was like, well, he just phones these people up and he's like, these are glass professionals, and who sell the kilns and all of the products. He said, what could go wrong? Tell me what I shouldn't do. And he's like, well, you shouldn't put these 2 glasses together, you need to put a kiln shelf and a rack. Took him through these things, like, right, I'm going for it. And I was like, whoa. I come from an education background. I went to university, had a degree in performing arts, so that has been my process. Matt was invited to leave school for various reasons to do with chemistry labs, Bunsen burners. I'll let you fill that gap in. So he hasn't had that like process of education. So he's unafraid to take risks, where a lot of people, when you're going through, you've got this to come, go to university, you have to try out all these different techniques and different people's ideas before you find your own journey through it. He missed all that. He's like, this is my journey. So it's actually much more freeing for him. So anyway, created beautiful glass pieces. So he's become a glass artist. We move up here, we go to the craft market, we present them with the glass, they love the glass, and he's a glass artist, he's selling glass. And then one Easter, he stood beside the Fudge lady. So I wasn't there. He came home that night and he said, well, I was talking to the Fudge lady and she always takes a little bit of money and I think we should do fudge. In fact, I bought the business. I was like, I'm sorry, what? I don't make anything. I can't make a cake for the life of me. I was like, how am I going to... I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Well, it turns out that I don't have to do it too much because he's taken it on. But he learnt the original recipe from the lady. It's a lady called Pris, who actually was one of the founding members of the craft market. It was her business. And she said, the one thing I would say to you is you'll always have a spot on the craft market with the fudge, as long as you kind of keep the recipes the same, because, you know, she's built up a whole history and customer base based on her fudge. So Matt went and learned how to make the fudge, and of course he did it like that because everything's easy for him. It'd take me forever. And he came back and he started making the fudge, and then we repackaged it and we rebranded it. So we called it Thursby Fudge, and that's based on where we live in Thursby. We quite liked the alliteration, and we then packaged it to make it more country-like. It was originally in like just clear plastic bags, and it wasn't as attractive, I think, as a brown paper bag with a window. It looks a little bit more kind of country craft. And we expanded the range. They only had like 6 flavours, and we just went as big as possible, and then narrowed it back down again, because then realised when you create lots of different flavours of fudge, you have lots more left over, and actually give people too much choice. It's like going into Primark, there's too much there, and you go, there's too much, I can't cope. Whereas if you just have a small rack, you're more likely to make decisions. So we've kind of narrowed down the field slightly, and we now also do dairy free, made out of coconut cream, coconut milk, for people who are lactose intolerant as well. So we're trying to tick lots of boxes. So yeah, that's kind of how we started. So quite by accident. Sometimes the road doesn't quite lead you where you expect it to. So yeah.
And finally, do you have any what does the craft market mean to you? So how important is it to you for business and things like that?
Massively important. I think the thing that people don't realise is that we are the only food vendors at the craft market, which means we have the captive audience. There's a massive, as you would know, about competition. We sometimes go to events where there are 2 brownie people, 2 cupcake people, donuts, ice cream. We don't get as much of a look in because fudge is quite a niche thing. Also, you sometimes get put near the cheap sweet guy who imports all of his sweets from somewhere or other, made of just gelatin, sugar, and all of the amount of plastic that you could possibly put in a sweet. And it's a couple of pound a bag. And then you come to us and it's like £5 a bag, and people go, oh, that's really expensive, because they just expect things to be cheap and made cheaply, and there's been no time or effort put into making it. So we're in competition with them. So we can sometimes go to an event which has maybe 3,000 or 4,000 people through the door, and we might sell 50 bags. We'll come to the craft market, which will have a lot less, maybe 1,000 people through, and we would sell 200 bags. And that's because we're the only people doing something sweet, and then people go, oh, I just need something sweet, I'll have that. So we've got that kind of captive audience. So it's been amazing for us, because they launched us and they kind of nurture us. So every year it is just us selling our fudge. And it's such a community. I don't know if people have said this before, like the people who run it and all of the stall holders are phenomenal. They're so kind. And to give you an example, back in May this year, at the end of May, that we do the spring bank holiday, we had set up and done the day before, which was the Saturday, it was something like the 25th, I think it was. On the Sunday, Matt came here to do his glass. I run the fudge and we kind of swap and change, but I come in a bit later because we've got a dog at home. So I've taken the dog for a walk, and I managed to pick the dog poo off the floor, slide on a bit of mud, dislocate my ankle and fracture it just by standing up, picking up poo, dog poo. And I'm literally on the phone to the ambulance thinking, oh my God, we're meant to be at the craft market. This is like a massive part of our finances. This helps to pay our bills. And it was obviously awful, it was life-changing. But you know, the people on the craft market put a sign on it, took some of the fudge out for us and put it on a different stall and sold it for us. They didn't have to do that, they had their other things to do, but it's honestly such a family. And they were so supportive. And then on the Monday, the final day, a lovely woman contacted Matt. She runs Galley Hill strawberries down the road. She's not as sort of involved in the craft market, but as a local person, contacted Matt and said, I'm free, let me come and sell fudge for you. So we had just the kindness of the people around us to support us in that really, really difficult time. And they don't fail to just be fantastic. So if you're not feeling well, or everyone looks out for each other, you know, so somebody goes off to talk to somebody, you're looking at their stall, and then a customer comes along and they go, I'll be back in a minute, you know, or then you call them, and it's just that lovely family thing, and that's quite rare, isn't it? Yeah. And it's the one thing I think we probably take from it the most, is the fact that these guys really do care. They care about each other, and they support everybody, and they're just really, really kind people. And that's why we're here today, really, is to support them and to keep going and keep supporting the craft market, because it's such an integral part of Alford's culture and history. you know, and people genuinely care about it as well. So it's been fantastic to be part of, and we're very privileged to be part of it.
Thank you for speaking to us today. That's great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and good luck.
Cool.